exit tones are on.
All right, all right.
To start conference recording, press 1. To return to the, please note that your storage is almost full. Please log in and delete recordings or purchase more storage from your account.
Oh, wow.
The recording has started.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. I'm Tyree Thomas Jr., also known as, however you want to see it, the Forex trading truck or the Forex trading preacher. Anyway, I'm involved in Forex. I'm Tyree Thomas Jr. I'm here on the Dream Team's midday call. Hey, how you doing, Zip? I'm also broadcasting live. We do this call every day at 11 o'clock Central Time. Hey, Ray, and 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time today, by way of the founder of the Dream Team, who is Miss Tracy Walker. She's allowed me the Tuesdays. Hey, how you doing, Eric? She's allowed me on Tuesday to do this call. And at the same time, I like to take advantage of the God-given creative technology that we have and broadcast live on Facebook when I can. Facebook or any other social networks. You know, I feel that we have the technology, so we should be able to use it as we can. And on Mondays, Miss Tracy Walker herself does the call. Tuesdays, I do the call. Then we have coming up on Wednesday, a success guru, Mr. Valentino Crawford Jr. does the call on Wednesday at the same time. Then on Thursday, we have Mr. Brian Kane, who I call a walking process of progress. Young man, very powerful. Then on Friday, we have Nesto Herschel Chalk that does the calls now. I like to say, in standing in, when any of us can do the call, we have Mr. Deanna Sylvester, also known as Dr. Pipper. That is his Forex trading name. He handles the call. Hey, Lakina, how you doing? Hey, Jerry, how you doing? And the thing is that Deanna is very instrumental in helping these calls continue, along with Miss Ramona and Manic Hotsmith. But right now, not to prolong any more time, I want to get into this information. Then I want to get out of this information. And some of the things that I'm going to share with you today aren't anything that you're really going to learn in college, because this is real world life information. This is not information that was put together and then people in a room that has not been in business pull information out of different ways, decide what they want taught. I did a little tour from different colleges here in Houston, and I really need you to pay attention to this, the E-myth, the entrepreneur myth. I really want you to pay attention to this, because there is not a lot of training on what it takes to be an entrepreneur. In other words, there's not a lot of information available in colleges, not putting colleges down. But this is a new era that we've entered into the American society, and I'll explain those eras in a moment. But I did a tour around different major colleges and junior colleges here in Houston. And what I found is there were actually no information, very little true information on what it took to be an entrepreneur. And from experience, I learned that the information was rather misleading. It was more about what the system of education wanted an individual to know, instead of what you need to know as far as the education in real life of what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And the information I'm going to share with you is transferable to any business that you want to be in. Hey, how you doing, Tawanda? So as I was saying, not taken away from any systematic education, but this is real live education that I'm sharing with you. And also what I'm going to do, I'm going to share some printed material with you that when this broadcast is over with, that you can actually access for yourself and use as a guide for those that may be wanting to enter into this field of entrepreneurship. See, when I was a kid, entrepreneur was not really taught. The word entrepreneur was not even mentioned during the whole time I was in school. Didn't hear about entrepreneurship, the word entrepreneur, until maybe about 15, 20 years ago. It was always about, a person wanting a business, but they were not told what a person is called. We were not given the title of that person that had a business. Now, the word entrepreneur, and I looked this up, the word entrepreneur has been a part of our vocabulary since the 1940s. Yeah, the word entrepreneur been a part of our vocabulary since the 1940s. Now, see, if you want to be something, it's best to know some history of what that title comes from. It's best to know why that title was created. If you want to be in a business or if you want to have a career in something, it's best to know the ins and outs of the title of that career. That's if you all hear this noise in the background, those are my Forex charts. But it's best to know the reason why you need to know these things is because when you understand the description of what you want to do, then you have an indication of the expectations of what you are expected to do. How you doing, Shamir Bacon? That's Alva's daughter. Good to see you. Again, when you understand the description of what is expected for what you need to do, then you understand what is called what you are expected to get done. So when people decide they want to go in a business, they may not really understand what the word entrepreneur means. It means a person that solves problems. If you can solve a problem, you can and provide the service that is the solution to the problem that needs to be solved, then you would generate an income. I'll say it again. If you can provide a service that will be provide the solution to solving a problem that people have, hey, how you doing, artist? Then you will get paid for that service. Now, while I'm on, I'm gonna give you what it takes to become an entrepreneur, and then I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna relate that to the business I'm in now. See, I was in trucking, and I'm gonna take what I know from trucking and relate it to the business I'm in now. But at the same time, this information that I am sharing with you can be these are principles that I'm sharing with you. In other words, these are rules of business that can be used to help you understand any business that you want to get into. And I've written down a few steps for you to follow. The first step is what is an entrepreneur? Entrepreneur. The second step is do you know what type of business that you want to go into? And there's an A, B, C, and D to that. Okay, the second one is do you know what type of business you want to go into? And you can always look at this broadcast again. The first part of that A is how much does it cost to enter into that business? The second part is how much income can you earn in that business? The third part is how long will it take before you can earn income in that business you decide to go into? Those are 3 parts of the second step, which is do you know what type of business you want to go into? So these things are very important to know if you decide you want to go into business. And let me pause for a moment. Today I want to say a special hello to my wife, Cabrita. This is our wedding anniversary. So to my wifey, I want to say happy anniversary and thank you for being a very important part of my life. Also, I want to reach out and ask for prayers for one of my friends in our Dream Team family, Miss Ramona Fontanelle. Her mom is ill, and we received word this morning that she has been taken to hospice. Now, I understand the process of what a person goes through when they see their family getting ready to make that transition. And my prayers goes out to Ramona, especially since we're less than 2 weeks from Mother's Day. So please submit your prayers to God to comfort her and her family while they're experiencing the process. The third step is, do you have a checklist to serve as a guide for knowing what you have to do to earn an income in that business? And that is very important. Do you have a checklist to serve as a guide for knowing what you have to do to earn an income in that business? If you don't know what you have to do before you start doing it, you're going to fail because you're going to cause a mass of confusion in what you're trying to get done. And without a guideline, instead of you getting something done, time is going to do you because you're going to waste that time. And in the process of time doing you, you can tell when time is doing you because you would not get anything done. You would acquire frustration and you would fail. So to keep time from to keep you from wasting time, it's best that you have a guideline of what you want to do. And I will share with you a checklist of what I had to learn, which is what was needed for me to know to earn an income on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, a yearly basis in the income in the business that I was in, because I had started a trucking company. And when I did, I really didn't understand everything that it took. Now, over a period of time, I became extremely successful in that business. And I earned over a period of time, I earned over 7 figures in that business. But the main thing that I did learn is what something, well, it's not taught. Do you have a way to protect? Do you have a way to protect? Do you have a checklist that helps you understand how to protect the income that you earn? I had a checklist, but it was a checklist that with the system, the governmental system said you can do to protect your money, but it was not. It was not actually the way that life says you have to have things in order to protect the income that you're earning, just in case something happens to you or your business. Now, as I said, I learned, and these are actual things, these are actual principles. Now, the fourth one is, do you know someone who is successful at doing the business that you want to do? Do you know someone? This is very important. This is not something you're going to hear in college or in school. This is actual real life. And if you talk to any entrepreneur, whether they've been successful or whether they've experienced some type of fallback, also known as failure, they'll tell you that these steps are what you really need to know. So the fourth step is, do you know someone who is successful at doing the business that you want to do? You would also call this person a mentor. Now, you may not know these people personally, but there's enough printed material called books that if you follow the advice that are given to you in the different books, which I'm going to share with you, then you can, from that person, although they're not physically there, from that person, you will have the guides that you need to make the successful steps in being in business. Now, please continue to hang on, because I'm sharing with you this real life information. Number 5 is what should have actually been number 1, but a lot of times people don't put it in front, is, do you have a personal relationship with God? See, it's important to know that, because there's going to be times when you need someone to talk to, someone that understands all things. There's going to be times when you need someone to help you understand the proper steps you need to make. There are going to be times when you have to find a way to earn income and you don't understand that way. He is that way maker. So do you have a personal relationship with God? Now, those are 5 steps. Now, what I'm going to tell you is this. You can look at this broadcast again, and it would help you understand these things. Now, the first thing I've mentioned to you, now I'm going to get into the information, then I'm going to get out of here. I'm trying to get this done within the next 10 minutes. The first thing I recommend you understand is, again, what is an entrepreneur? Are you capable of being an entrepreneur? See, a lot of times people see on a job and they feel that they can do better for themselves than what they're doing in a job, and you can't if you understand how that job needs to be done by you. That one of the things you're going to have to understand is this: when you step out on your own, understand that you are the job. When you start a business on your own, you have to understand that there is no one that's going to be there to tell you when to clock in and when to start work and when not to start work. There's no one that's going to be there to tell you that you have to do certain things before you do make an income. See, when you are in a job, it looks easy. But when you are in a business, you find then, hey, Misty, hey, Courtney, you find then that when you leave that job and step out on your own, things are not the same. And you begin to feel alone. Well, one of the books, the E-Myth, the Entrepreneur Myth, would help you understand there are different people that will share with you that when they were employees and then stepped into their own business, it was a total different thing, because they then became responsible for all the and making sure they had all the supplies they needed. They became responsible for knowing how much time they needed to get things done. They also realized that they became responsible if they had a bakery shop or if they had a mechanic shop. Since it was them, they became responsible for the opening of that door for that day to start. They also had to stay there to that day had come to an end. See, a lot of times when you have a job, you may not understand or you may not be aware that these things are required to be done for that job to be open. And if you're not the type of person that is responsible enough to be on time to open a business, then you're going to find out what is meant by time is money and money is time. Where you spend your time is where your money is earned. And if you are an entrepreneur, meaning you're in a business for yourself, if you spend your time in the right way, then in the right way, your time will earn money for you. And you won't be in a position of going out of business. So are you capable of doing that business by yourself? See, that's one of the first things you want to understand. Are you capable? Are you dependable upon you? Because this myth, the entrepreneur, it sounds good to be an entrepreneur, and a lot of people found that it was a myth. It was not true about some of the things they thought they were going to be able to do. And when they thought that they were going to be successful, they were not, and they didn't have the understanding. They didn't have the understanding on what it took to become successful. Well, one of the things you have to understand and what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur is you have to understand you. See, I had to understand me. I had to understand that in my business, when the weather was not permissible, when it was bad weather, did I feel like going out in that weather and working? See, when you are working for someone, when you have a job, you have to show up no matter how that weather is. But when there's no one telling you that what you have to do, when you are responsible yourself, then you'll find out if you have a strong enough will. You'll find out because of the type of personality you have, if you have the strong enough will to go when no one is forcing you to go. But if you to continue not to go, you're going to find that the needs of life, the necessities of life are going to become very aware in your life. And if you have not done the things it takes, then you're going to find your needs not being met. So if you want to know, and I'm sharing with you, this is business 101. These things are actually for real. If you want to know if you are capable of being an entrepreneur, learn something about yourself. This book called, what colors your personality? See, it would help you understand. It would help you understand if you have what it takes to go into business before you leave an income that you earn hourly or salary. And once you go into business, you have to understand what is called upon you to get the job done, whether you have employees or not. See, if you are going in business for yourself, and I'm going to help you understand what that type of business is called, then yes, you can do some things. But if you have people depending on you to get things done, which are called employees, then you have to make sure you have the right attitude to lead those employees. Now, success through a positive mental attitude helps you understand what it takes to be as a business owner. Because when you are operating a business of yourself, you are considered a sole proprietor. But when a business is operated by you, and you have a business as sole proprietor is one person. When you have a business, meaning you have two or more people, then you can say you have a business, because if you're not there to show up, that person that's working for you can then keep the business going. But what people don't understand is, as an entrepreneur, if you're working for yourself, money don't get made unless you show up. So in actuality, you don't have a business, you actually own a job when it's just you working that business. Because if you don't show up, you don't get paid. Just as well as with a job. If you don't show up on that job, you don't get paid. Now, if you don't do a good enough job as an entrepreneur, you won't get paid. But on a job, if you show up and you find a way to just get through the day, getting paid is still what will happen. But what people don't understand is that when you are an entrepreneur, if you're not successful at getting that job done, I don't care how much time you spend on that job. I don't care how much time you spend doing that business. If you're not successful, you won't get paid. Now, this book, you're not going to find these books in colleges. This book, The Cash Flow Quadrant, it tells you the 4 ways money is earned in our income is earned into our economy. You have a self-employed, you have an employee, you have a business owner, you have an investor. See, it helps to understand these things when you get ready to go into business, because a lot of people leave their job as an employee and think they're going into business in the B quadrant, and they find out that they're not in the B quadrant. This book would help you understand that. They will find out they're in the S quadrant, which is a specialist like a doctor, a lawyer, things like that. If a doctor doesn't go to work, he doesn't make money. If a lawyer doesn't go to work, he doesn't make money. When you have your own business and you're the only one working in business, if you don't go to work, you don't make money. And then you have to understand the personalities that you're dealing with. You have to understand the rules of business that you're dealing with. You have to understand what it takes to have your business formatted right. So this book, Own Your Own Corporation, you're not going to find these books in a regular college setting, but you'll find these books in real life. And I'm helping you understand what it took for me to be a success. You see, when I went into business, and I'm going to get out of here in a moment. When I went into business, when I went into trucking business, and I'm getting ready to break this down for you, I had to learn. I didn't understand at first. What did it cost for me to go into business? How much did it cost for that truck? How much money would I have to earn to pay that truck off? How many days would I have to work during the week before I would pay my operating expenses? Once you pay your operating expenses, and this is not something that people really know, once your operating expenses is paid for that week, then the rest of that week, you can then consider yourself whatever you earn to earn money. But that money that you earn, you can't use all that earned money to live off of. You have to put some of that to aside to handle whatever happens in that business that may need to be fixed. See, I had to learn these things. Trucking may look easy, but it's only easy if you abide by the rules. Business may be easy, but it's only easy if you abide by the rules. Even in my trading business that I am in now, teaching people how to trade stocks, teaching people how to be a foreign exchange trader, how to trade currency. You have to know what type of currency pairs you want to get involved with. See, with trucking, I had to learn what type of accounts I wanted to take. You see, and I learned in trucking, there are three types of ways to earn income as a trucker. I can earn income as a trucker that runs local, meaning it's less than 100 miles for each run, and those I can do 2 to 3 a day. Or I can earn one that earn money, and we're doing what I call inter-road driver, which means that inter-road driver means that I would go no more than 200 miles away and come back that same day and get rid of load. Because see, I had to understand that the system of law allows me to drive on a certain amount of miles a day. And even if I did not drive those certain amount of miles, it also allowed me to only drive a certain amount of hours a day. So I had to make sure if I was going to be an intraday driver, that I was going to be able to go 200 miles and come back 200 miles and get rid of that load that day. So I found that as a driver, if I had a load that I was just going to run local, I had to run enough local loads that day to earn the income. But if I was going to run one load a day, I had to make sure. See, these are steps you have to understand when you're going in business. How much money can you make daily? How long will it take you to make that money daily? Because if you're going to have a certain amount of money that you have to make every 24 hours, then you have to make it on that Monday, because Tuesday is a new day, a new work day, a new earning day. And if you're still doing Tuesday, which you did not complete Monday, you lose money. And see, I had to understand these things as an individual running my business by myself. Now, I owned up to 10 trucks over a period of time, and I had to help my drivers. I had to help the people understand who were dependent on me to provide the work. I had to help them understand this information too. How much time would it take for them to run a load every day? Now, if they wanted to be a city driver, just running the city, I had to help them understand, because not everybody that works for you is going to understand what it takes to get that work done so that they can earn an income. Now, a driver that's running a city, a driver that's running intraday. Now, if you want a driver that wants to be on the road for periods of time, That is called a road driver, interstate, a road driver that's driving, that handling a load more than one day. With that load, if that load takes 3 days to to turn around and make money and complete, will it be enough money earned in those 3 days to pay for the operating expenses of what it takes to get that work done? So these things are important. If you're having a nursery, how many children, if you're having a nursery, how many children do you have to be in care of for your nursery to earn an income weekly? And then if that money is covering the operating expenses, would it be enough to cover your living expenses? See, you have to understand these things, and then you have to understand if within you have the ability to get these things done. Now, I came to understand in the trading business that there are two types of traders. There are a consumer trader, and there is a day trader. Now, when I later found that a day trader is someone that's scalping. Now, understanding the type of business you're in, you have to understand that business. So I had to understand the trading business, and I come to understand a scalper in trading is a person that trades hourly or trades minute. He chooses what pairs are going to be profitable. That's the same thing as a city driver in trucking. He's choosing what loads are going to be profitable for him to run that day, and how much time is it going to take to run that load. Can he run 3 of those types of loads that day to cover his operating expenses? Well, a scalper, can he make 3 trades at that moment so it can cover the amount of money they want to make that day? And then I also learned that as a trader, there's an intraday trader, one that may hold a trade for hours during that day, a couple hours during that day, or may hold it overnight and close it out the next day. That's the same thing as a day intra driver. How it will that driver hold that load that day and get it completed that day, or will he go that day, get that load done, and the next day complete it and start on another load the next day? See, that was the same thing I learned as an intraday trader with trading. And then I'm helping you understand that you have to understand how the business operates that you want to get in. If you don't understand how that business operates and what you have to do to operate within the rules of that business, you're out of business is what you're going to be. So a long-term driver, one that's on the road for 2 and 3 days, I learned that is considered as a position trader or a long-term trader. One that may hold a trade for a week, a week, a month, or a year, meaning they're going to monitor that trade, just like you have to monitor that driver while they're still driving. And I'm trying to help you understand this is business one-on-one. You go back and look at the information from this. You go back and look at the information from this broadcast. You'll find that these things are things you have to understand to help you know if going in business is what you want to do. Looking from the outside into the inside of a business looks easy and looks glorious. But when you get in that business, then you'll find that there is no glory without the proper education of what it takes to be successful in that business. There are a lot of people who started in the trucking business that I trained. And when they started in the business and I trained them, they found that it looked easy because I abided by the rules. But when they got in there, they found that it wasn't easy. And what made it not be so easy for them is because they found out that they did not have the personality, they did not have the desire, that it wasn't strong enough to maintain the way you have to be successful in their business. Are you disciplined enough to be successful in the business that you choose to be in? Just like being a trader, are you successful at being disciplined enough to know how long to be in a trade? Are you disciplined enough to know what type of trade to take? Are you disciplined enough to know what you should and should not be doing when you go into business? Because there are going to be times when you have to spend your time doing business versus doing personal time entertaining yourself or being entertained. And you have to understand that when you are in business, you are in it for you and for yourself, and that there's no one going to pay you for a job undone. There's no way you're going to get paid for a job undone. And if you follow the rules that I'll share with you, and if you take some of the guidelines, the entrepreneur myth, what colors your personality will help you understand if you have what it takes to go in business. And if you don't have what it takes, it'll help you understand how to correct it, how to correct that, because you're not going to find this information in an educated system. This is real life education. Again, you're not going to find this information in high school, college, business school. This is real life education from a person that made 7 figures in the business that he was in. And I'm going to tell you why I lost it. And I'm going to tell you in a moment while I'm doing what I'm doing now. That's right, Ray. You can't take shortcuts. You can't create shortcuts in any kind of business. You have to follow the principles of life. It may be less than 4 years because college says you have to spend 2 to 4 years. But if you follow what a mentor says do, you can avoid the learning curve so you can then enter the way of earning. Success through a positive mental attitude. If your attitude isn't right, you can cause yourself to lose a lot of business. The cash flow quadrant. Understand what type of business you are in and understand what it takes to earn income in that business, because there are 4 directions to which income is put into our economy. And if you are self-employed, you are in one of those directions, and you have to understand. This book would help you understand what it takes to be a successful self-employed person. It would also help you understand what it takes to be successful at growing your business, meaning you're going to be adding employees. You're not going to find these in college. I'm telling you, you're not going to find these in a business school. These are personal books that have been created by people who stepped out on their own. Own your own corporation to help you understand what type of business you have and how to structure that business. See, the reason why I can tell you this stuff is real because when I had in 2003, August 11 of 2003, that's the day that changed my life and my business. I was involved in an auto accident, which I was the passenger. The accident was not foreseen. It was caused by a deer. Now, because of that, over a period of time, I was not able to keep my business going, although I had acquired up to 10 trucks. I did not take the proper time that it took to train people how to do the business that was being done. Everything was being done through me. Now, I didn't have a proper structure, and I didn't have a proper guide. I didn't have a proper mentor to tell me what it took to structure that business so it could operate without me being there. And if you think you have a business, step away from 30 to 60 days. If you step away from 30 to 60 days or 90 days and that business is earning income without falling, then your business then can be considered as a successful business. But if you step away within 30 to 60 days and your business, the income of your business starts falling off, then you need to retrain. You need to create the proper structure in your business to help your employees understand what it takes to operate that business. Now, I'm almost done. To protect your income, which is what was not done, everything had to be liquidated because doctor bills and stuff had to be paid. Now, I had the traditional IRAs. I had the traditional 401k plan. I had the traditional savings. I even had an interest-sensitive savings. But that was what the system said you have to have. I later found out that I had the different structure to protect my income, to which I'll cover that in a later date. If you have the proper structure to protect your income, to protect the money that you earn, then even when you cannot do business anymore, you can live off the interest on that money that you earn. And I'll explain that later. Now, just like with my trading business, I have the proper structure it takes to keep things going. And I'm learning even more, and I'm going to share that. But this is what I'm able to help you with now. It's time for me to get out because I've been on here long enough. And this is business. Like I say, this is business. This is for real. And I'm going to share this with you next week. Matter of fact, next week, I'll probably go over the personalities you have to have within your business and the different steps you can take within a business, sort of like what I went into today. Okay? And I do understand different types of business because I was not just in a trucking business. I have a strong business background for overall business. I've been in restaurant business. I've been in a legal business as a paralegal, getting ready to go to law school, understanding what it takes to have a successful law firm. See, I've done those different things. I do understand business, believe me, I do. But I'm Tyree Thomas Jr., and I'm here to let God speak through me to you. And as always, motivation is temporary, inspiration is everlasting. I hope I said something to make use of your time, to help you understand what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And if you don't understand, send me a message. We can have a conversation and I can help you. But as always, from me through you, I want to say thank you, Eric. I want to say thank you, Raymond. I want to say, hey, Tysa, that's my little beautiful sister-in-law. Thank you, Tysa. Thank you, LaShonda. Thank you, Shamir. Thank you, Artist. Thank you, Tawana. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Lakina. And if there's anyone, and thank you, Joseph, my longtime God brothers here. Thank you for everyone that has turned and tuned in. And as again, from me, from God through me to you, he's always saying, be blessed and happy anniversary to my wife, Kabritha. Thank you. Bye-bye.